America has a $1.2 trillion trade deficit. That means other people are selling us goods that more than we are selling them. And that's just not balanced. It's not fair. We're losing $1.2 trillion a year, of which directly and indirectly to China, that's about $1 trillion. You know, China sells goods to Vietnam, Vietnam repackages them and sells them to us. So the idea is the president wants balanced and fair trade, and tariffs are the tool to create balanced and fair trade. It's just unsustainable for $1.2 trillion to be exported to the rest of the world, meaning our money is going to the rest of the world. It's building them up. And over time, it's taken us down. And the president's here to fix it. So that's what he's trying to do with his tariffs.
To what was a very positive process. We have reached an agreement on a 90-day pause and substantially moved down the tariff levels. Both sides on the reciprocal tariffs will move their tariffs down 115%. We had very robust discussions. Both sides showed great respect.
What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Kenny here today, and we're going to react to some of the news that's been going on over the weekend as we were all maybe resting, passively looking at the news like I was. And Trump made some big wins over the weekend. One of them, as you saw from the intro, was his new trade deal. Apparently, he's in talks with China, and they both reduced their reciprocal tariffs by a drastic amount. So at the time of you watching this video, probably the stock market's reacting to the trade news. But this is also a good deal for Donald Trump as well. And you saw Donald Trump is trying to change the status quo. And as Lucknet said in the beginning of this intro, he's using tariff as a tool to reset the current status quo that's been going on, because Bill Ackman, hopefully I said his name right, probably I didn't, but I digress. The United States has subsidized the world on trade, defense, drugs, NGOs, and more. Our global subsidies has contributed to our $37 trillion national debt. President Trump is the first president in history to rectify the situation. He deserves enormous credit for doing so. But this is the plan. But the liberal media doesn't want to give him credit. And this is some of the things that people voted for Donald Trump to do. And we knew it wasn't going to be easy. We knew it was going to cause maybe some economic stress on us. But Donald Trump is doing his darnest to make stuff happen, to make change happen. Right? As you saw, there was wars breaking out, but I heard, like, passively, I've been hearing a lot of good news happen, and I kind of want to give you a general update here. Just this weekend, Trump announced a trade deal with China, brokered an in-person meeting between Ukraine and Russia, helped stop a potential war between India and Pakistan, announced an end to big pharma U.S. profiteering, and got the final American hostage released by Hamas. A good week for Donald Trump. Great week for him. But, I feel, right, this will expose more liberal bias. How would they interpret this? Would they just objectively say, hey, these are good things that Donald Trump is doing? Or somehow downplay it, not highlight it, which is what they always seem to do? If on Friday you were saying Pakistan was a major problem, but on Sunday you're silent, giving credit to Trump for brokering peace, then you are the problem. And this is one of the things that I point to liberal bias being an extreme problem with the media. An institution that only has 3.2% conservatives in it will not look at this favorably. They will not highlight this. And this is a major problem that I have with the mainstream media. And this is probably a clue for why many boomers do not like Donald Trump. Because these cable news networks, they don't want to highlight anything good he does. So boomers come away thinking he only does things bad. I want to show you this clip of Lucknet continuing to rain on the parade of the CNN news host that keeps trying to make this idea that somehow what Trump is doing with tariffs is a bad thing for Americans, and he pushed back immediately. Let's take a look.
We have 25% tariffs that were set under President Trump's first term. I don't hear a single word, not a single word about those tariffs. No consumers in America, those were set in 2017 and 2018. No consumers in America sit here complaining about those tariffs.
Well, prices
what happens is
have gone up for lots of reasons.
Oh, no, no, no. Don't talk about the Biden inflation. That's another whole gig. When we left, when President Trump in 2019 had the lowest inflation in history. So
Let me ask.
you know that this works really, really well. It works well. These countries and the businesses have to compete.
Yeah.
They have to cut prices. You've seen it.
As you know, the cost of tariffs are paid by American consumers. We've been talking about this. So should Americans
Well, I
be
disagree with
prepared?
that, you know.
Well, okay. But most economists, I would say, disagree with you on that. And we have seen it being passed off time and time again to the American consumer. But regardless of that, just on the policy, this is what I want to ask you about. Is the 10% tariff that we're seeing in the framework for the UK going to be in place for the foreseeable future?
So we do expect a 10% baseline tariff to be in place for the foreseeable future, but don't buy the silly arguments that the U.S. consumer pays. Businesses, their job is to try to sell to the American consumer, and domestically produced products are not going to have that tariff. So the foreigners
who's gonna
are
eat
going
the
to
tariffs?
finally have to compete. They're going to have to compete. What happens is the businesses and the countries primarily eat the tariff.
See, this is why the media gets the rap that it gets today, right? What a weekend. Ceasefire between India, Pakistan, Putin ready for closure with Ukraine, major movements on trade with China, Andrew Alexander's coming home. When America deals with from a position of strength, the world benefits. And what I took from that, fallacy of authority, which what Dana Bash was using, she keeps talking about the liberal economists. Hey, liberal economists, if you look at the percentages, majority of them are liberal too. I told you, liberal bias is a problem. Liberal bias get in the way of many of these so-called experts for seeing things objectively, because end of the day, if they call things objectively, it could help Donald Trump. Does it make sense that economists who are supposed to be objective continuously make a negative perception on Donald Trump's economy, his approach to economics, but the reality shows that their theories are always seem to be wrong? When they point out that Donald Trump did 25% tariffs in 2017, no one was complaining about this stuff. Biden kept many of those tariffs, right? But no one was complaining about what Biden was doing with the student loan forgiveness stuff that contributed to inflation, right? But he kept getting rate cuts, which overwhelmingly contributed to the super hot economy that Joe Biden had, which drove inflation. During Donald Trump's 2016 presidency, he averaged less inflation rate increases compared to Joe Biden. Joe Biden had the highest inflation rate in 40 years, but you don't see the media so cautious about what Biden was saying. And here's the coup de grace to kill this argument that Dana Bash was using, that, oh, most economists agree that that tariffs cause this. Is that Joe Biden's economic policy, Nobel Peace Prize laureates, economists, all agree that somehow Biden's economic approach was better than Donald Trump's. That was the theory. But Americans got to live the reality of Biden's economic approach, and it gave us the highest inflation rate in 40 years. Many of these economists were saying that we wasn't in a recession, even though we suffered on paper 2 negative GDP growth. Many economists kept telling Americans that they falsely believed that Joe Biden's economy was in a recession. Then in 2025, after the Democrats lost, they finally admit, oh, voters were right. The data was wrong. Huh? You would have thought. Oh, you would think so, huh? And this is the things that keep biting Democrats and many of the liberal media's credibility. And there's a quote I found, Rush Limbaugh. I have not really watched Rush Limbaugh. I think before I got into politics, he passed away already. But there's a quote from him talking about Donald Trump. And I think this exemplifies many of the reasons why many people put Donald Trump in power, right? And why many people don't trust the media at all. Washington can't afford for Donald Trump to succeed. This can explain why they're being obstructionist to his agenda. These judges keep coming in his face, et cetera, et cetera. The gig is up. If an outsider like Trump can fix messes that they promise but failed to take care of in the past 30 years, then we the people will never vote establishment again. And that's why they're against him. I agree with that. Let me know in the comment section if you agree with that formulation too.
You saw the rates that were published on Liberation Day. Those countries can take those rates down if they open their markets to Americans to export. Let Americans get their stuff on these foreign governments and foreign consumers' shelves, and we'll be better as a country. I think what's happened is we just have never felt the fairness of our ability to export. Finally, the President of the United States is on our side, and that's what you're going to see in the UK, and then country after country. We're going to announce, like we did with the UK, how many tens of billions of dollars of new opportunity the President is negotiating for American small businesses and medium-sized businesses to sell their products overseas. That's the golden age that's coming, and everybody else is going to build in America to get around that tariff. Remember, there's no tariff if you build it in America. You saw the rates that were published on.
Show me the incentives, and I'll show you the outcome. What incentives is Donald Trump's tariffs doing? Hey, you don't want to face tariffs? Build your business here in America. What happens when business build their company in America? More jobs, more economic opportunities for people, especially if it's manufacturing. Rural America benefits from this. If it's service based, urban America continues benefiting. Show me the incentive, and I'll show you the outcome. And if you're mad about the outcome, look at the incentives, and the incentives will tell you how you got your outcome. But instead, people wants to keep continuing crying about Donald Trump, talking about how his tactics or his approach is chaotic. But you don't think it's chaotic for maintaining status quo? Who was the alternative? That's the question I ask. When Democrats talk about how unpopular Donald Trump is, I go, well, it ain't the Democrats, because Democrats are less popular than Donald Trump. No matter how low Donald Trump's approval rating is, a Democrat is lower. That's my argument always, to shut down that worthless, silly argument. Oh, Donald Trump's approval rating is only at 40%. Well, Democrats' approval rating is as low as 28% in some polls. The highest I ever seen it was 32%. So you're 8% lower than Donald Trump. You're 8% less popular than Donald Trump. And this is the Democrats' conundrum right now. And don't get me started on the next video I'm about to cover. Democrats literally tried to raid ICE for illegal immigrants. You proving Donald Trump right every single time. You fight for your own interest. You defending illegals is in the best interest of the Democratic Party, but not in the best interest of the American people. And this is why Democrats lose. And this is why Democrats are less popular than Donald Trump. But I'll leave that for another video. But this quote rings true. Washington can't afford for Trump to succeed. The gig is up if an outsider like Trump can fix the messes that that they have promised but failed to take care of in the past 30 years. Then we, the people, will never vote establishment again. And that's why they're against them. That's why they're against RFK. That's why they're against Pete Hegseth. That's why they're against Tulsi Gabbard. That's why they're against many of the people that Donald Trump has put in these positions of power. Because these people, they might actually fix the problems. They might actually expose that, oh, you guys are nothing but talk. I admitted a long time ago, people, they say they get mad at me because they say I never criticize Republicans, but I do. But it's just Republicans, half of them actually want to do something for the American people. The other half just want to play pretend. But in the Democratic Party, it's 80% of them that just wants to do things in their own best interest, and only really 20% of them that I think I can give some grace that they're actually trying to do something for the interest of the American people. Only 20%. So based on the numbers, who I'm likely to side with more? Republicans. And if Democrats keep showing themselves to be obstructionist, keep continuing getting in the way of Donald Trump trying to fix the mess that they promised to fix, but they never did. Well, we want to make the government more efficient. Obama promised that in 2008. Did the government get more efficient after Obama? No. Donald Trump's trying to do this stuff into law. Half of the Republicans are dragging their feet. Majority of the Democrats are dragging their feet. So I see this as, okay, let's give Democrats less power. At least Trump has a shot to pressure Republicans into doing the agenda. That's my calculus for 2026 if Democrats don't shape up. But based on recent events that happened over the weekend, I don't see that happening. But let me know your thoughts and perspective in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what you guys are thinking. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. I'll appreciate it as well. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.